Hi there and welcome to this special edition of Sector Report, which comes to you from rural North Canterbury, site of one of the most devastating shakes we've had for many years. Shortly after the quake, we toured the disaster area to bring you a Sector Report Quake special. Now we're back here to catch up with farmers as we track their progress since that last report. For the overwhelming majority of farmers, thankfully, it's back to business as usual. But for those who were hard hit, this has been a catastrophic event. We'll talk to them firsthand as we bring you this special Sector Report update from the Canterbury Plains. Under Canterbury's big skies, a lush spring is promising bumper production. Farmers are flat out at this time of year, with the great majority putting the shattering big shake behind them for business as usual. But some on the land copped damage from the quake big time, although it's hidden from view on the picturesque plains. I travelled to Canterbury 6 weeks ago to tell the rural story of the devastation caused by the quake and called on Rodney Ridgeon at Greendale. He'd had to move his wife and newborn baby out of their new house and stay with his mum after their house sank into the ground on a lean. When we returned to catch up with Rodney, he was moving back in that day, despite a red sticker officially forbidding it. Since we last visited, Rodney stumbled on a seemingly endless catalogue of damage around his cropping and sheep farm, which was inundated with water when the nearby Selwyn River changed course because of the quake. Now, Rodney, just looking around at the house here,
Yep.
Of course, as I think I said last time when we came, it looks fine,
Yep.
but it's obviously on a lean.
That's right.
And you've got a red sticker around there on the back door,
That's
which
right.
is not good news.
No, it's not good news.
But what are you going to do? You've been living with Mum. Are you going
Yep.
to move back in here anyway?
Well, I think we'll move back in tonight. I think
Tonight?
Yeah,
Right.
tonight. And we've done a clean up and we've tested things out. I mean, the house is safe.
Yeah.
It's got cracks all over around the walls and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But I think it's safe enough to move into.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're just going to have to get used to walking uphill or downhill.
Yeah, it's a bit of a
whenever you
lean.
get yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So-
How much did your builder say he thought it had dropped?
About half a metre.
Gosh, that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So all this land really sank.
Yeah, it tilted. Yeah.
It tilted.
Yeah, it has. It's not. I don't think it's liquefaction. I think
No.
it's just moved.
Right.
Yeah. Well, with the earthquake, it shook the tank
Right.
and it broke the pipeline off it that pumps up to the field drain.
Right. And the field drain is what?
Yeah, it comes round the side of the tank and comes
Yeah.
up through the ground here
Yeah.
and goes up to
It's where
the
that.
field drain up by the rock garden there.
Okay, and that's where it just soaks off away into the earth.
Yep, just
Yeah.
soaks down.
So if we go back up here.
Yep.
So what happened at this end? Did the quake cause that hole?
Well, it didn't quite cause the hole, but I've had
you've
to
dug it up.
I've had to dig it up.
Right. So what did you discover when you dug it up?
Well, the pipes had moved away
Yeah.
and broken from the field drain, so everything's just
look at
broken
that.
off.
Oh yeah,
So-
it's all shorn off there.
Yeah, and they've moved probably about 4 inches.
Really?
Yeah.
Gosh.
And sunk down, so
So you've had to put a whole new system of pipes in here
yeah,
at this end.
whole system in here.
Yeah. Now you discovered a whole lot of other stuff since we were here last time. So you had a problem with an irrigator. What was the story there?
It must have bounced in the earthquake,
Right.
and the whole chassis had cracked through one side, and it's 2 big cracks, and they're quite like fresh as, so it's definitely been caused by the earthquake.
Yeah.
And it must have bounced a lot.
Obviously the quake has had an effect on this fence and this paddock.
Yeah.
So what are we seeing here? If I look straight down here, it looks like it's done a dog leg about, what, a foot?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
moved about that much.
Right.
And it's also, the fence got very loose as well.
Yeah, I can
So-
see the wires, yeah, just hanging.
And that's because it's done that dip as well, so it's
Right.
got a hollow in it as well as it's moved sideways.
And the dip's, what, gone down about a metre?
Yeah, I think it's about a metre in places
And
here.
so we're seeing it running on down the paddock here.
That's right, and it goes right
Right
up,
through.
right through, yeah.
Yeah. So Rodney, yet another discovery of yours in the weeks following the earthquake.
It was.
What's the story here?
Yeah, it's moved probably about between 6
It's an
and
irrigation
8.
pipe.
Yeah, it's an irrigation line, so it's actually moved 6 to 8 inches on this one. Yeah, and actually pulled it apart.
Yeah.
And then it pushed it back together and spliced it.
Oh.
And caused that problem. And this is the main line.
Yeah.
And
so does that affect all your irrigation on the whole property?
Yep. I turned it on and there was no pressure.
Right.
And it was just spewing out of the ground.
Yeah. Have you been able to fix it?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
What did you do to it?
Cut the broken piece out.
Yeah.
And put 2 gear bolts in and a new piece of pipe. But it was a hassle because we were fighting the water table because it just kept on coming up as you were fixing it. So
and that water table had come up because the local river had changed its course.
That's right. Yeah.
And flooded your land and raised the water table.
Yeah.
FMG is the biggest rural insurer in earthquake-struck Canterbury and was busy contacting its clients within hours of the quake hitting.
Welcome to FMG, speaking with Briley. How are you, Lisa?
Yeah, pretty shattered, to be honest.
The company estimates it'll end up paying out about $15 million to its rural policyholders, but will handle that as it was already hedged against a natural disaster. Is there still much confusion for your customers about the relationship between you, their insurer, and the Earthquake Commission?
Confusion and emotion, I think. The word counselling has come up more than once. There has been a lot of confusion and a lot of emotion around that, as you'd expect and understand. So yeah, there has, and part of that has just been helping people get comfort with the process, that that the work will get done, and staying in touch and communication. And I know it might sound a bit cliche, but actually proactively ringing people in the first instance and then following that up has assisted. We delineating between the EQC process and FMG process is sometimes confusing for people, and we've tried to do our bit. Well, for instance, we've waived all excesses on our customers that are involved with this natural disaster, because we just felt it was almost a double jeopardy that they'd be getting excesses from the Earthquake Commission and excesses from ourselves.
FMG has given Country 99 TV exclusive access to footage of some of its clients who suffered serious damage. This telling video has never before been shown on television.
Oh no, this is, oh my God. This is the archives room.
Yeah.
That was purpose-built for all the old station records.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit shattering, isn't it?
Oh, God.
This is actually a water purifier, probably 150 years old, filled with charcoal, and it had a little tap on the bottom, but the whole thing's come over. But at least we've got the lid, honey.
Meanwhile, the Rural Recovery Group has been busy holding a debrief meeting at Selwyn District Council HQ. A whole range of agencies, from MAF to the Salvation Army, has been helping farmers and those living in country towns to adjust to the realities of life after the quake.
What we're finding, generally most of the queries we're getting are coming from the smaller blocks. The larger farms seem to have plenty of support on site already with the number of agencies that are dealing with them.
Dairy farmers and their animals had a tough time as milking platforms shook off their rails and rollers, and they had to move their animals to other farms to be milked while engineers lifted the 20 to 30 tonne turntables back into place.
So where's this drive unit, Pete? We better have a look at that. Here's the drive unit here. So the platform, this was resting down on here.
You can see where they repaired it there, yep.
And just smashed this post right off. Around here I can show you how far it went. From here they measured it 350 mils out this way, and it was sitting down about knee height.
Having to go through that horrible day of having to shift 800 cows fully in milk, just seeing them rub their udders raw from walking, and knowing that just come through a great spring and had the cows primed ready to full production and then having to put them through the stress of that. And just the trauma of putting your cows through that, it was really, really hard.
When the quake hit, the cows, they were terrified. I mean, they had the backing gate coming round on them, so the area was getting smaller as it happened anyway, and they just, yeah, the cows, they just went nuts, really.
Coming up after the break, more of the grim realities after the big shake of 2010. With life on the Canterbury Plains back to a normal, busy spring for the great majority of farmers, it's hard to see evidence of hard times for those who did take a big hit from the quake, but it's there all right. Take sheep and beef farmer David Robinson and his family.
Couch here behind you, big 3-seater, it's positioned over here normally. Then we have another 2-seater which sits in here. TV and wall unit is all over here and stereo, and so they'd normally, you know, if they were staying, had a friend staying, they'd be sleeping on these couches right here. This was a false brick wall in the house which we didn't really know was there, and the plaster had come down on the 3-seater couch especially, and it was just piled up with bricks. It was almost as if bricks from the fireplace, which collapsed, and the wall were meeting in the middle of this room. There were just so many.
Canterbury is highly dependent on water for irrigation, and one of the greatest fears has been that pumps and bores would be ruined, underground pipelines ripped apart, and aquifers shifted. But the result, when systems have been turned on, has been nothing short of miraculous.
It's been amazing, John, actually, because there hasn't been a lot of damage. I mean, there's been a lot of trauma for the farmers. Obviously, it's a horrible experience, but in terms of actual damage, there has been no catastrophic failure.
But the news hasn't been so good for those in a few areas hit by liquefaction, like Carol and Roger Hardwick on their 30-hectare property at Green Park. The quake has forced fine sand up under their home and in surrounding paddocks, and forced them out. Their front door now bears a yellow sticker. That means restricted access.
The civil engineers have pointed out, although there's fine cracks through some of the wall, it's actually a structural block wall. So due to it being a structural block wall, that's the concern with the structural cracks through the house.
So an aftershock could just send them tumbling?
Well, we don't know, but we don't want to be in there to find out either.